season 5. That's it's crazy that they're already back racing. What a long season those cats have, right?
Yeah.
We talked about this like 15 plus races.
Yeah, it seemed like just a couple months ago, right? I guess it probably was a couple months ago.
Yeah, we're crowning champions a couple months ago.
We were speaking about you're talking about the hub dyno and people making test hits and everything. There's probably nobody that practices more in that form of racing than Ryan Martin, and man, he went out and did it again. Did you guys follow along?
Yeah, I mean, it just looks tough to beat, man. I mean,
it does, really does.
The car is consistent. It's fast. I was really impressed with Lizzie. I mean, that car, that mid-season crash that she had last year, they were super excited about that car going into the season, or once they finally got it out there midway through the season, and then to have that setback and then have to rebuild and come back. We saw her win a couple races once she came back with Bonnie, the 69 Camaro, and we're seeing it kind of pick up where she left off. So to me, it's just really cool too, to see, I'm sure that there are different arguments as far as the parity, but to see a nitrous car versus a Pro Charger and to see these different combinations hanging in there is cool to see. And we talk about cars that you don't know what they're going to do, whether it's going to make a good pass or throw you off of this thing. These are the cars that embody that. So to put on a good driving performance in a No Prep Kings situation, I think speaks a lot about the competitors they have out there racing. They've really got some top-notch competitors. Even on the
and Pat's getting better in the
we're gonna do an interview here with Pat tomorrow, right, Wes? We're gonna get we're gonna get some stuff going with Pat, get his feel on all things nitrous, door slammer racing, No Prep Kings, and see what Pat is up to. But yeah, he's involved or temporarily involved with the David Gates operation as well. David Gates, I don't know if you remember, was testing or driving Kai Kelly's Shocker at some point last year and crashed it and just totaled the thing. So between that and I think David Gates waiting on a new car to be completed, he's actually driving Aftershock, the 2016 or 17, whatever it is, Camaro that Lizzie drove on the street. He's driving that in the Future Street Outlaws class for the first handful of races this season. Went out there. I believe this might be his first time in a nitrous car also. Well, actually, no, because he drove the other car, Shocker as well, but still relatively new to the combination, and won the Future Street Outlaws on Friday night down at Palm Beach.
I got two questions.
Mills was runner up in that as well, right?
Yeah, Callie Mills was runner up in that, which is cool to see her staying the course. Right. Like, I think it's cool to see her sticking to this deal, showing up at these races. And I think there's a bright future for that young lady in the sport of drag racing. But I do wonder, how long we've seen this level of dominance detract. You know what I mean? Like, the storyline becomes a little bit predictable. And I'm anxious to see how reality TV handles this, right? Because I think it's, now we're staring down the barrel of a third season where Ryan Martin is like the clear favorite, and I'm not saying there's anything that could happen that would necessarily change that. To your point earlier, JT, he's earned it, right? By testing and running the wheels off this stuff.
But he needs a rival, like
badly,
a legitimate like guy that you don't know who's going to win when they get lined up together. I mean,
I think really Lizzie. Need that. I think it's Lizzie.
Well, it could be Lizzie, and it could be Corey, or not Corey, but Justin. I mean,
there's a handful.
There's a handful of guys.
Justin Swanstrom.
But we need him to get a little bit more dominant, and make it to the finals as much as he does. Really, we just need somebody that we know that's going to compete with him, I think.
And I mean, I think obviously Lizzie, they've got this, this car's relatively new. Like Mike was saying, they tore it up last year in Darlington, scrambled to get the thing rebuilt. Robert Hayes race cars out on the East Coast swooped in, put this thing back together. And it's a beautiful race car. That's clearly a super fast car. Bonnie, as she lovingly refers to it. But we need that to happen, Mike. I really think the sport, No Prep Kings, is going to really need someone like Lizzie, Robin Roberts, whoever it is, right?
Whoever it is, somebody
to kind of step in and be like, hey, I'm going to challenge for the throne. Because, that's what made the Lakers and Celtics rivalry is they were both super competitive teams that you really didn't know which way it was going to go.
To me, a rivalry can't be completely one-sided. It's got to be fairly even.
It's got to be, he's putting in so much time that I just watched like the Larry Bird Magic story yesterday on HBO, and Larry was like waking up in the morning, grabbing the paper, checking, all of Urban stats, and then he'd go back, and then he said, I would think all the time about, has he shot 500 shots today, and I didn't get my 500 shots in. That's what makes a rivalry, though, right? Because if he's practicing, then he's practicing, so your ass better get out there and make some test hits too. But can anybody else put in the time that Ryan does?
It's interesting because I don't know. And this is where drag racing has suffered from that. And I don't know that it's suffered, but it's been a difference maker for as long as I can remember. The guys that race full time and the guys that have a business to run through the week. And that exists in every walk of heads up drag racing, right? I mean, you got the guys that are Stevie Jackson. We were just talking about him. Yeah, the reason I think right? Stevie Jackson, he wins Monday through Friday. You know what I mean? It's not that he wins exclusively during qualifying Friday night or in elimination Saturday or Sunday. He wins in the shop before they've left. The car's on Projects and he's winning because it's maintenance correctly, that they have prepared correctly, they have tested. I mean, there's as few variables as possible going into any race weekend, but a lot of teams that are competing against the Stevie Jacksons or Ryan Martins of the world, they don't even know if the trailer's got air in the tires, the generator's out of gas, because they're running their business Monday through Friday, scrambling to get ready to go to the races. And I speak from experience. That was the story of my dad's life. Mike, same. I think you will. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like, we got a race this weekend.
I had a little PTSD when you started saying that, because that's exactly how we were.
I mean, I remember our trailer lights. Nothing worked. Yeah. We don't have trailer lights. We don't have trailer brakes. The trailer doesn't have a license plate on it. We need to put the transmission back together in the car. The clutch, the bell housing still at Trick Titanium getting certified. We're going to have it shipped to the track. I mean, it was just an ongoing, we're going to have to put belts in the car when we get to the track because these ones are expired.
Yeah. Speaking of being able to be focused on the line after all that shit happened all weekend, right? I mean, wow.
Yeah, man. I mean, and that's where Ryan Martin's winning. I mean, it really is. That's where Ryan Martin, in my opinion, is where he's winning. You've seen a lot of, he's got 3 engines, supposedly. I don't know. I'm not counting this stuff. I'm not, but right. It's like good for him. Good for him. But it's definitely, it's weird. And No Prep Kings is merging a lot of people from a lot of different places in the sport, stations in life. And I'm anxious to see what they do, right? Because we've seen it. I mean, this Street Outlaws has stood the test of time. I think No Prep Kings is in the process of standing the test of time, but you do have to wonder, from a production standpoint, all right, what's going to be the proverbial bottle of Patron that's slid onto the table in the middle of the Real World house that spices things up? You know what I mean? If things get a little stale on Real World or whatever, you just get everybody drunk, Can't really do that when we're drag racing. So I'm anxious to be, I wouldn't be surprised to see some absurd rule change, right? Or something, because we can't forget, this isn't racing. This is a show.
Over the off season.
It's racing.
I don't know how much effect it had, though. We'll have to wait and see. I don't have all the numbers or know all the stats of what exactly went down combination wise, but we'll see. This series actually rolls into VMP next weekend. So
it looks to me like a lot of the rule changes were about formats, right? If you jump, you lose. Red light means the race is over. Water burnouts only.
No, they changed some weight rules on the Pro Chargers.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at it's. I'm pulling it up. I found the actual rules here. I think it is. Where's it at?
I just follow our boy. What's his name? Kevin Stevenson over at NPK Spoilers. He's like the number one source.
He is. Yeah. He is on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They changed the weights and whatnot, and it looks like big block centrifugal. 2,850 pounds, which I think they hung a little bit of weight on those cars. I don't know.
I found a cool spreadsheet that someone made of NPK career win-loss stats.
I saw that too.
Did you see this?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I could share this up, but maybe we'll get that going. But Ryan Martin, 136 wins, 26 losses.
Wow.
Who's next closest?
Next closest win percentage. Let me pull this up here.
84% win percentage? Is that what you just said?
The next closest win percentage is actually Justin Swanstrom. Justin is 33-13 for a 71.7 or 0.717 win percentage.
It's impressive as well. But
third is Lizzie.
Wow.
You have a pretty big sample size with Ryan there, though, don't you?
Yeah, Lizzie is 50-24.
Wow.
And has won. She's won the second most number of races. Ryan has won 15 races and 2 championships. Kai Kelly has won 3 races. A bunch of guys have won 2. Birdman has won 4. And Lizzie has won 5.
Wow.
Where's Murillo on there?
Murillo has 2 races, 1 and a championship. He's 50-37 for a 575.
Real quick, and I'm not trying to like do pocket watch or do people's math or whatever, but I love, these things. 15 races, if aren't they 40 grand to win? What's the 600 grand that Ryan Martin's won?
Yeah, dude's cleaning up.
And the championships.
And the championship. So another 100 grand or 50 grand or whatever it is. I think it's 100, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. I don't know if it was the first year.
Yeah, but I bet the homeboys made almost $1 million.
If you looked at this, so if you should go by number of wins, Ryan has 136 wins. The next closest is Kai Kelly with 75. And then it drops to Scott Taylor with 60. And then there's just a log jam of people between 50 and 35.
Round
33.
wins?
Round wins. Yep.
Okay. Man, it's
impressive.
It really is impressive. And I said a second ago that we have to remember that it's a show first and a race second. But man, it really is great racing. Like there's some great racing. And these stats that you're throwing up here really support the fact that it's a highly competitive environment. Obviously, there's a clear favorite. There's a guy that's leading the charge. There's an outlier.
The rest of it's very competitive.
Man, really, really, really close. And it would be great to see, man, this Lizzie is made for this, role, in my opinion. She will be a fantastic nemesis or rival to Ryan Martin. It's great that it's a nitrous car versus a blower car, right? A new Camaro versus an old Camaro. So there's some cool storylines there. Justin Swanstrom in the mix as well, man. He is leaning 100% into this outlaw bad boy image, and I think it's paying off. I really do. He's got a massive following that's only growing. I think his brand and what he's about really speaks to that crowd, right? He's speaking their language. He knows the audience, and he's giving them what they want.
I think both Lizzie and Justin, several other Robin Roberts, a lot of these guys have figured out we're going to have to invest in ourselves, right? If we want to be competitive, if we want to do this for a living, we're going to have to invest in ourselves. If that's a new car, whatever it is, merchandise, whatever it is, they're investing in themselves to try to do this for a living, and maybe to try to have the time and the money to be competitive enough to compete with Ryan Martin, I think. So hopefully that pans out.
He's raised the bar. The bar as a whole has risen, but he's moved it to another stratosphere, and it's really taken this deal from, let's see how it works, or just throw a car together to go run NPK. And now, you've got to have a very
because the track's supposed to be the equalizer, but he's got to figure it out somehow. I think so.
Yeah, I think he just makes so many runs. That's the deal. He's learned. He's got more experience. He's got more runs. He's got more data.
Great combination.
How big of a deal? Yeah, Javi, crew chief, young guy, right? That's always learning. There's a lot of action over there, and I'm anxious to see what's the future look like for the Future Street Outlaws class, right? For that Friday night big tire shootout. We've seen it produce stars, much to the effect of A Fuel or Pro 632 and PDRA. It's a class that's producing stars, namely Justin Swanstrom, and I'm anxious to see who's next. We know that Paige Coughlin is headed that direction eventually when that car is done. Callie Mills is obviously in the thick of things, and it's going to be fun to see who's next, right? But it's just such a weird dynamic because they are, it's not just come one all. It is. Anybody can show up and run those, run big tire if your car fits the rules and you pay the entry fee. But it's fun to watch how they pick people and kind of start to pour the coals to them. They've done that with Justin, where it's like, okay, here's one of our guys that's got something, and we need to accelerate this. We need to find a way to escalate it. And they've done a fantastic job.
I would like to see some guys, just go try it. I mean, I do. They say that they could go down and kick the shit out of them, but I'd like to go actually see it.
It's a wonder there's not, and it speaks to, I think we touched on this briefly last week, but I really think there's probably a place for one of these type of races. And I know there's some big Outlaw Armageddon, the Winter Meltdown. Matt Plotkin puts on that race, obviously. I mean, there's some big ones, but it would be cool to have something happen in conjunction with Street Outlaws or with No Prep Kings that would bring some of those guys to the table
to try it.
And I mean, it's what I've been ranting about for eons with NHRA, is that one of the issues or one of the toughest situations is that we've got our stars spread amongst these 3 classes, right? Or, 4 classes, 5 classes, if you count Pro Stock Motorcycle and Pro Mod. But I mean, in the NHRA, like the highest levels, you've got Ron Capps, over here, and you got Tony Schumacher over here, and you got Erica Enders over here. And how cool would it be to create an environment where they were all competing against one another, right? I think something like that could happen with a no prep race, not necessarily with those people, but you could get Ricky Smith, you could get Stevie Jackson, you could get Jay Kosh, you could get Todd Tutterow, you could get a lot of
you never know,
Melanie Salenis.
You might Clay's a big fan. I mean, you never know who you could get.
Yeah, that's the dream, right? I think that's the dream. It really, at least to me, it is, man. I love that we're blessed as a sport, though, right? That we have all these different classes and they're packed full of stars and packed full of personalities and packed full of, there's some rivalries that exist and whatnot. And I guess it's, our job to just continue talking about them, you know what I mean? And trying to do anything we can to, like I was saying about Pilgrim and Discovery Channel, pour fuel on the fire. We got to escalate this stuff, man.